So to formally announce, this is the October 20th meeting of the Land Acquisition Commission for the town of Fairfield. It is 6:11, and we will formally start the meeting. Does everyone have a copy of the agenda? I'll just pass it around. First order of business is to call meeting to order. Appointments of alternates if necessary. Cassandra, you will be voting tonight in place of I think who is missing. That is I'm trying to line parties. But you can vote in place of Tara Rowe-Holly. Okay. And the Pledge of Allegiance is next. So if we can all stand. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Moving along swiftly to page 2 already of the agenda.
Who's on the call? Anybody on the line?
Just Tim Bishop, Conservation Director, and everyone else is not here.
Is here.
We'll just note attendance: Mike Widmer, Adam Goodman, Jeff Galdenzi, Linda Batchelder, and Cassandra Marshall. And in fact, if I can just check that for the record, Cassandra's going to vote in place of Kevin Helmick, who's not here tonight. Okay? Great. So we move on to approval of minutes. First order of business is the minutes from April 21st. Is there a motion? Or is there a discussion first?
Actually, motion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But vote. So does someone have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Great. Second. I'll second it. Is there discussion on the minutes from April 21st?
I was just in attendance. I don't know.
Yep, duly noted. That would make sense. I was taking minutes, I believe.
And I was in attendance as well.
Oh, look at that.
Because I'm even noted on the bottom of the page.
I blame it all on Adam.
When I'm not here, the place is falling apart.
It does. Okay, so adding both Linda and Cassandra to the present attendance. Any other thoughts or revisions necessary for these minutes? Okay, none being. Take a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from April 21st, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Minutes are approved. We move swiftly to the minutes from the July 21st meeting. This was a meeting that we failed to attend a quorum, so it did not happen. Any changes there? Okay, I'm sorry, is there a motion?
Motion to approve as presented.
Seconded?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And it passes unanimously.
Who seconded?
I did.
You said there was no quorum? There didn't enough people?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct, July 21st.
So that just means you can't vote on anything in particular. Is that the idea?
Yeah, and we didn't really, we had 3 people. It's just Jeff, Linda, and myself. And I think that we were challenged that day with
There wasn't much on the agenda.
There wasn't much on the agenda. Jeff was in a car, I think, coming down from New Hampshire.
Yes, right.
Yeah. And I was in my basement, so it didn't.
I even pulled over in Massachusetts to take the call.
All right, so being keen of Tim's time, thanks, Tim, for hanging in with us. I'll jump into the chairman's report. As I hinted at before, we do have a number of term expirations coming up, including myself. Kevin Helmick, his term is up in November. I have not heard back from him. Trey Bickers is going to continue. Linda has told me that she is going to end her service with the Land Acquisition Commission in November. And my term is also up. I'm unable to be reappointed. So I will be also stepping aside. So we will have at least 2 openings available on the commission. We're going to want to look for potential names of replacements. My recommendation would be that both Cassandra and Nick Mirabli would be elevated to full voting members, and then we go forward with just 2 alternates open. We've done that before. We've done that before. So, yes, so I just, a note just to say thank you to Linda for her 9 years of service on this commission. Wow. Yeah, no doubt. So,
You were a teenager, right?
Yeah,
exactly, back in the swinging days.
a
So,
long time ago.
give some thought to that. If you guys do have someone you think would be a good fit for this board, I think this board with Tim now in place, with really Brenda having an open ear, the first selectwoman having an open ear, and the administration in the town having an open ear to kind of land acquisition and some of our goals. I think this commission, you know, it takes on more importance of what we do. And it does seem like there is more requests for us participating. Point in case tonight, Tim came, you know, to me this week with a couple of properties that had come to his attention. I do think there's also some updates with some of our old business as well. So some of the work that we're doing here is actually proving to be fruitful. So if we do have someone that would make sense for this board moving forward, let's elevate those names and let's put them up for recommendations. Along with that, we will be setting our meeting dates tonight. And at our January meeting, we do need to have officer elections. It does mean we're going to need a new chair for the commission. I have chaired for a couple of years now, I know that, and I wouldn't want to speak for our vice chair, but I know that he is running for another office as well. But do you want to speak to that?
Well, I'm running for RTM, so if I win, I'd be precluded from
Correct. Right.
being on the
Yeah.
board.
Good. So that's a little bit undecided. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is we do have a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. And those, it'd be great to have a slate kind of before we go into the January meeting. I want you guys to give it some thought. And certainly I'm available for discussion. I think there's a lot of, anyone who serves on this board this commission could really serve as chair. It's a lot of interaction with Tim and the Conservation Department and with the First Select Woman and people like David Brandt from Aspetuck and the Audubon folks. You know, so it's, and if you know, we're on this board for a reason. I think we're all pretty passionate about open space. And so something to consider there for those officer elections in January. I'll probably do a follow-up in November just to everyone to say, here's what we discussed. Give some thought to it, and let's see if we can come up with a slate of candidates.
Like this,
For January.
this commission has a party mix requirement.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are stepping off, do you know how many of what we need or can fill?
I'm unaffiliated. Linda's a Democrat.
No, Democrat.
So, and the current structure is,
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No.
I don't remember the mix. Was it 50-50 or no more? I don't remember.
you can't have more than 4 of 3 of any party. No, 4 of any party, I think. Is that correct?
I'd have to look it up.
Tim, do you know?
I don't.
Why would you do that?
Why would
Yeah,
you?
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's all right. I'm putting you on the spot here. Here we go. So we have, if you can figure that out, we have, right now we have 3 Rs, 4 Ds. Actually, it's just some voting numbers, I guess, is what it is, right? So it's 3 Ds, 2 Rs, and 2 unaffiliated.
Today is what we have.
Yeah. And then these 2 go up, and so it's going to be 3 Ds, 3 Rs, and 1 unaffiliated.
Who's
On
trying?
for voting members, if Kevin does decide to,
And there's Walt Vickers. That's Trey.
that's Trey. Okay. So, let's get Tim back.
So you're assuming it's 3 of each.
Mike, can you still serve, just not as chair, or you can't even take place, be present?
I can't, I asked twice and they said, no, you cannot leave and don't ever darken our doorstep again.
That's not true. You have to be out for 1 year.
This is true. They did say 1 year. Anyhow, I'll give more of a, so actually, to follow up on that, I'm allowed to serve into January to facilitate the election at our January meeting, and then I will quickly be banished from the room and leave. But no, in all seriousness, I'll be serving through January, the January meeting, to open that meeting, facilitate the election, and then pass over the gavel, if you will.
Okay, meeting dates?
So meeting dates, what what works on that. I like the third Wednesday of every month. Does someone have a calendar in front of them? I do. January would be, is that the 18th or 19th? That's the 19th. How about January 19, April 20, July 20, and October 19.
April 20 might be public school week of vacation, because Easter is that Sunday. Let me check.
Oh, good call.
Moss Lake this year.
Yeah, that's vacation.
All right, so you guys, 13th or 27th, any preference on that for April?
No.
13th and 27th.
Let's make it the 13th. Okay, and time, 6 p.m., stay with. So that was January 20, April 13th, July 19th.
You said January
January
19th, you said April 20th,
19th,
No.
January 19th.
January 19th, April 20th?
No.
April 13th, July 20th, and then October.
Oh, sorry, I was mixing the July date, okay.
Cool, we good?
No, Easter would be really late then.
I said April, it would be.
Cool beans? Any questions or thoughts from me? We can always talk after as well.
I don't know if this is on the agenda, but I was looking back through our notes from April, and it was discussing, like, if we want to clarify this board's, like, you know, for me, that'd be helpful as a newer member. We can do that later, too.
No, that's actually, you know, maybe we can bring Tim into the discussion.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
You know, so being just aware of Tim's time, he's home, I think he's trying to feed the kids while he's talking to us. Tim Bishop, welcome to Land Acquisition Commission meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mike, it works.
I have to say that before you turn that up.
Yeah, right, there you go, thank you. I got it out of you once, that's perfect.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you all. Nice to be there in person. My wife had to go out tonight, so I was home with my two kids. Otherwise, I would like to have met you in person. Am I loud enough?
Yeah, we're trying to work the speaker in here, but I'm going to move you up a little bit, just like
Can
this.
your volume go, is this a touchscreen?
Yeah, no, that's not touchscreen, but
It is maxed
the
out.
volume's max. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. So yeah, again, thanks for having me. If I could have been there tonight, I would like to meet you all in person. So I guess that'll have to wait till January, if I don't meet you sooner. I started officially as director August 2nd, so still very new, learning my way around town, meeting a lot of people. Job's great, surrounded by great people in town hall, as well as the commissions, boards, and committees like this one. So I did meet with Mike in person, I would say after a few weeks when I was there.
Yep.
We just kind of talked about what this commission does, how we could work together. But having served on Conservation Commission in Richfield and now inland wetlands there, conservation was really responsible for land acquisition in town. It didn't really come through the town itself. Mostly we worked with Richfield, the land trust, and just private donations. People were incentivized by tax credits or something like that if it was in the state, or just purely a donation. So we did acquire. It was on that commission for about 3.5 years, but we did acquire quite a bit of space in that time. Some pretty good sized parcels. Comparatively, Richfield has about a little over 5,000 acres of open space. to Fairfield, about 1,100. Obviously, different towns and demographics, but that's what I had managed before. So without going into the next part of new business, I would like to work with everyone here, and kick around ideas and kick ideas towards you when something comes up, or even a possibility that comes up. Look at whether it's worthwhile, what the qualities are, what value they could add to the town or existing or non-existing open space, and then figure out, is it cost effective? Where do we get the money and that kind of thing? So, a few things have come up that Mike and I have talked about, a few others that I've come across. So, I look forward to working with you guys when something I hear about it or comes across my desk. I would like to kick it to you guys and see what you think that's worth pursuing.
Yeah, that's great, Tim, and officially welcome to the town. It's been great having you here so far, and it's just great having a conservation director in place, and we really work, with you hand in hand, along with the first selectman's office, or the selectman's office, I guess. So before I had a couple questions for Tim, but do you guys have any questions right off the bat?
I do, I'm off camera, but,
Go ahead.
sorry, move. I was wondering about, I've been listening to TP&Z and the estate at the end of Sasko Hill Road, I think it's 1121, is being subdivided. And I didn't know if there's any talk about open space allotment out of all of that.
That's not one I've heard of, but I'm gonna take a pen and write it down.
There is an environmental, there is an easement that
Kenzie has.
Yeah.
They still have it, okay.
Yes, and the owner of that property is keeping it.
Keeping it.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
firm about it, yeah.
Good, okay.
He's on board.
1121, you said?
I think it's
Yeah,
1121.
it was the biggest private taxpayer in town,
Also known as the Jack Estate,
the Jack Estate.
or
Yeah.
the Regal Estate.
And now he's dividing it up into whatever.
Have you seen it lately? You looked in there at all? It's like overgrown and,
It has for a while.
oh yeah, it's kind of spooky.
Yeah, I renovated
Oh, you did?
it once
Part
the
of my
Regal was left.
task internally is learning my way around and how to get around where things are. I know where Sasko Hill Road is.
Yeah, but instead of taking a right to the beach, you took a left.
Okay.
But, this property abuts the beach,
Almost
basically.
straight ahead, yeah, at the end of the road.
Oh, yeah, well, I think the driveway's to the left, though. I don't know if there's a driveway straight ahead, isn't it? Don't you have to go to the left to get in?
You have to go to the right and then the
Is
left.
it right and then
Right
down?
and down.
Okay, right then down.
We were, not,
Yeah, I could look into, actually, it does ring a bell. I did see some plans about that. Now that you say that, I was thinking part of my being new, I had something in my head from a different location, but I did see that there is a proposal for some housing there.
Okay, I just know when you subdivide, you need to put a set aside.
True.
So,
True.
I didn't know if that qualified.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, it's big enough.
It was like 2 acres, is what they used to have? I don't know, when I worked on it, it was expiring, it was like a 50-year deal or something. Anyways, it was expiring, it had an expiration date, but I guess it's been renewed.
I think so, yeah, there's definitely, you can find some information on it, and some of the town minutes, for sure. But you guys are right.
I pull the file tomorrow and look at exactly. I did see something or hear somebody talk about it in the office, so I can send you those.
Cool. Any other questions for Tim? As we met earlier, we met back in September, and I kind of explained to Tim, Land Acquisition Commission. They didn't have one in Richfield, obviously, and we're really more of an advisory commission. And this kind of speaks to Cassandra's question. Is and our role has been kind of it's been fluid, if you will, over the past 9 or 10 years, and we are an advisory commission. If the property comes before the town, before the selectmen, it usually is steered to us to initially review, discuss, vet, and usually make a recommendation on one way or the other. The town should proceed forward, the town maybe shouldn't proceed. And this is both with properties that come before us to be acquired, but also properties that we've sold too, some of the quote-unquote orphan town properties.
And I think it gives a little legitimacy to it, because one was sold last year on Riverside.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of dispute about it in the end, because it was sold for way less than the appraised value. And it never came before us. So I had RTM members asking me about it, and the fact that we had not seen it did not help that whole process.
Yeah, and what Lynn's referring to there, Tim, is that last year there was a few properties. There was also the school property that never came before us, and it became, we just questioned whether we are involved in the process or not, because I think we can provide at least an initial sounding board. Your previous counterpart in conservation would meet with us and then kind of take our recommendation and use it as kind of a stepping stone to meet with the selectmen, or to meet with the Board of Finance, or to meet with the RTM, to at least, we're part of the process. And so I think that is kind of our initial and probably most visible role. And there are other roles that you and I talked about this as well, having maybe some target, acquisition properties, or properties that we are out there maybe being kind of the eyes and ears for the town.
Yeah, like, do we need to be proactive, or they give us properties and we review it?
Right, but being proactive, to me, it's always been a little bit of a fine line, because with private property, can we be representing the town on a commission saying, we want to, we want to acquire your property? I think sometimes that can be seen as a threat sometimes, maybe. Right. But I think that's where maybe, working closely with conservation to say, and I think I mentioned a couple properties at our last meeting, but there are some properties I've seen around town on Black Rock Turnpike, on Stilson, that would make sense for the town to at least look at, that are still privately owned. And
so who actually purchased property? Like the selectman office, the Board of Finance? Like, how's that work?
The town would, and we've
It's a process that goes through all the boards.
All the boards, okay.
It has to go through, selectmen, Board of Finance, I think, and then ultimately RTM. Conservation has to vote on it, RTM.
Okay.
And it's whether the town bonds, or what we've done successfully over the past number of years is actually acquire state grants.
Okay.
With support from some of the
Which
funds.
conservation would be the one that's like kind of doing the work to get the grants, right?
Correct. Right, and Tim, maybe you can speak to that. The town has hired a grant writer?
Yes, Terry Brown, is a part-time, not sure her specific title is grant coordinator maybe, or administrator. I'm not sure which one, but she sits in the finance department office. I was in a few days a week. I've sat with her a few times already. She seems super sharp and in touch with a lot of tools and options that we'll be able to pursue, at least from my department, for grants from open space to we're working together collaboratively with potential purchase of 3 parcels with planning and zoning due to, risk to river flooding. This is probably another one as it continues to move along that, would come your way.
Right.
Camden Street, right up, butts up to 95 in the Bridgeport line.
Yes, okay. I think having a grant writer is key, because there's a lot of state funds potentially out there.
Yeah.
And beyond, perhaps, and a grant writer could help us facilitate that. The key point is always that it requires funds to buy these properties.
Yeah.
And I think, that's put us in a position where we are just looking from afar at some of these properties. High Street's a good example.
So, I just feel like if we could, ahead of time, I think you mentioned a few properties we definitely should have on our mind as a town.
Right.
So that when it comes time and it's moving quickly, we already know, okay, what is it assessed at, or, the details on the actual physical part of the property.
Yeah.
Instead, it feels like we're getting information later and the process has already started.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we should do. I don't know. Do we want to be more?
Well, it's going to take leadership definitely from the First Selectman's office as well.
Right.
Because ultimately that is where the negotiations would be initiated by.
But at this point, we don't actually meet with the First Selectman's office unless we ask for it.
I think so, yeah,
Okay.
Right. That would be, it would need to be I think, agreed upon that would be something, and then it almost needs to be in closed-door sessions. You need to kind of,
Right. Okay.
can't really announce that we're looking to acquire that property, and then
Yeah.
there's definitely some nuances to it.
Okay.
And then the other thing to be proactive is to write up a plan, like to
Right.
have a land acquisition
Why
plan.
we
and
want it and all this, yeah.
Right, because then you're more likely to get the grant money.
Right.
So that in a way was a big task that lay ahead if we were gonna
Yeah.
get somewhere,
Hey,
running out of time.
I don't have a Zoom account, so what it is, I get 40 minutes of free Zoom time, and here we go.
I have one.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could get Tim on this.
We got 9.5 minutes left.
Could we,
I hosted one of those today with City of Bridgeport and got kicked off after 40 minutes.
right, and we have new business I want you to comment on, but go ahead.
The other thing is that with the town charter being rewritten, is our board safe or not?
Good question. I don't know, I've not been involved, and I've asked to be involved, I haven't had the ability to kind of lean in on that, on those
Okay.
conversations. Has anyone? Jeff?
I mean, it's too premature to make that
Okay.
assertion. However, the strategic plan is at a macro level proposing the elimination or the streamlining of many of the town committees.
Really?
So I wouldn't be surprised at all if
Yeah.
this was a target for that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Something to look into.
How do we feel about
Yeah,
it? I mean, I can't talk to it because I don't have enough experience, but.
I have the strategic plan downloaded, I just haven't, the next airplane ride is gonna be
Yeah, it's
right.
long.
It's long, yeah. Long and exciting.
So
I
that's
just
why it'd
feel
be
like
kind of
we
nice
give-
to clarify, like point by point, what we add, or, if that conversation comes up, we're prepared. Like, this is why we feel that this is important for the town.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got your ear to the ground on a lot of things, so I think,
Okay.
I appreciate the input, and,
And
But-
Tim, you said that you didn't own by everything went through Richfield Land Trust with you guys?
Well, it would come to us, they're separate, but sometimes we would share properties and say, they would say, hey, you guys take this one, or we would refer them, back and forth. So one of us would end up getting it, with the same goal in mind of, conservation, so.
Okay.
Sometimes they would fall in our lap, sometimes not.
I mean, one of the things I think about is how can we make your job easier? How can we work together to, and maybe that's not a conversation for right now, but in this process.
yeah, listen, I would encourage you maybe to reach out to Tim, definitely.
Okay.
Tim, you seem very accessible. I don't want to give away your secrets, but.
I want to be, to almost to my detriment, open door policy, because that's how I meet everyone, and, information gets shared, so, I guess communication is the easiest way to make my job easier, when you hear of something, or, hey, let's discuss it, phone, office, email, whatever works.
I will tell you that
I'm all ears.
you're very responsive on email, so shooting him an email is a great way to
Right.
start a back and forth.
I try to be, so.
You're good. We have about 5 minutes with you. I do want to maybe,
Why don't we just give them this number?
you can also
can
call
dial
in. Yeah, if we lose you, maybe you can call in.
Okay.
Otherwise you just-
So the number is 669
you start all over again.
275 1384.
If I get cut, I'll call in.
So you're gonna get cut in 5 minutes and 56 seconds.
Because I'd love to have you speak to Beaver Street, but then I'd also like to have maybe you just bring us up to speed on Grace as well.
Sure.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So again, Tim, thanks for being here, and I appreciate your flexibility. So moving into new business, we did have, Tim brought these two properties up. I was actually unaware of them, but they are privately owned parcels that are adjacent to town-owned open space, up there in that kind of Grace Street area, kind of up above, Stop and Shop.
Southwest
Walgreens.
corner Stop and Shop.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, it's 152 Beaver Street, and it's 159 Beaver Street. 152 is about 0.17 acres. It's undeveloped, adjacent to town-owned open space. And 159 is right across the street, about a fifth of an acre. And again, kind of the same thing. It looks like two lots at the end of Beaver Street that were never developed. What do you know, Tim?
Right. I haven't driven there yet, but as I was working recently on pushing paper for Gray Street, I happen to be looking at the map and wondering, hey, there's two other ones that are adjacent that are undeveloped and wet that no one probably could ever develop. And they had names. The one on the eastern side, I forget which number, if it was 159 or 152, had a name. The name in our file had an address to I believe a woman in Stratford. The one further to the west did not have the address listed was the address on Beaver Street. So obviously no one lives there. So tracking that person down would be take a little more work. But I think everyone would agree adding any space to an existing space is always best, just to expand the size of the parcel, whether it's 0.14 acres or 0.18, whatever it is, it's just more land to existing open space. So I brought that up to Mike. I don't know how good they are, but again, it adds more protected space to an existing parcel, which I think is obviously a clear benefit, but also easier to sell, to other boards and select women's offices if we were able to purchase it.
Especially on this side of town.
I also think adding it makes it more marketable to a grant application to the deep land acquisition, an open space grant. So
Completely.
parcels I found.
There are a lot of springs in that area. I lived about a block from there for 10 years, and that hill there, and when my grandmother grew up, they used to call the parking lot where Stop and Shop is Gypsy Spring.
Oh, okay.
So there were apparently springs underneath, but I know that there are a lot of springs on that hill.
That's the name of the open space, I never even knew.
It's still attached to that open space at the top, Gypsy Spring, but it's, and that's our number one qualification typically when we're talking about parcels is if it's adjacent to existing town-owned inventory, it makes so much sense.
Right.
Rather than an orphan piece of property. So.
Just a standalone property in a neighborhood,
Yeah.
If it's small, it's nice to grab anything, but is it providing that much habitat, flood storage, or wetland protection? Probably not, but something, to increase the size of existing space is kind of a no-brainer. Whether we use grant money or some combination of other funds or even, Smith Richardson fund to some extent, I have no idea. I don't know what it's worth, but, that's why I figured I'd elevate it to you guys.
So, and to be clear, there's been no property owners that have been reached out to, not sure if they're even for sale, but maybe pursue the opportunity to maybe acquire them to see what it would lead to.
I did find some information on our file that there was a conversation, I believe going back to Mr. Stinky.
Okay.
That the eastern property on Beaver Street was, somebody had asked about development and they were shot down. There was, basically too wet. And with the town, there was an acquisition discussion. I can't remember the date offhand, but it was a number of years ago. I imagine it's the same owner, but, maybe that would be an easier parcel. So,
And from your standpoint, before we acquired a property like that, we'd obviously do a phase one, I guess, environmental site assessment and title search and all that due diligence.
Correct. I've written hundreds or thousands of those in my consulting days, and obviously just ordered one that should have later this week or next on Gray Street. So those are pretty easy for these parcels, having been undeveloped since the last ice age. So I'm not too worried, but it is, typical
Yeah.
procedure to CYA.
Okay. Cool. Any
They're
questions?
pretty inexpensive. I think, $2,300 the last one, so we're not talking crazy money.
But being on the end of,
I lost them.
have you seen I guess I wonder, since it's at the end of the street, if potentially there's any dumping, right? So
That's
That's the big one.
right.
That's why you want to do it.
Yeah.
And I imagine,
Surprised me if there was a lot of them.
Scratch
Yeah.
for the tires.
Tim, see if he, I don't know if he joins.
That'd be a fast dial if you already.
How'd you know about Kennedy one?
I was on the board after.
Tim Bishop checking back in.
Hey, how are you?
I got the boot right on time.
Yeah, you did. Let's see if we can turn you up. Can you hear us?
Yeah, clear.
Oh, thank you. So, I don't know if you were cut off mid-sentence or if anyone else here had a question regarding
Oh, yeah, I was just wondering if you'd been to the property to see if there was any evidence of dumping or anything like that, since it's at the end of the street.
At Beaver or Grace?
Beaver.
Beaver,
Right.
no. I did walk the Gypsy Springs open space along the stream. I popped out on the nearby road. I'm not sure which street it was, and it might have been Beaver. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at maps, but no, I do need to get in the car and drive over to that dead end to see if there was any concerns with dumping.
Other questions? For Tim on this? This looks like the end of the street right here. So, yeah, I mean, it's the kind of parcel that you don't even know they're there, basically, because the street just ends.
Yeah, well, the dumping would be by residents of Green.
Be those guys right there, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably leaves. I'm sure there's leaves and
Yeah,
debris,
yeah.
that kind of crap, but.
I would think the property owners would be pretty happy if we conserved it.
Somebody put a white picket fence up.
I think
Develop it, yeah.
Yeah, especially in this area.
Sorry, I went too far. I gotta turn around and go back. It's a nice little street. I turn around and look at it. There you go. So,
They keep tearing those down and putting up, if you've seen that neighborhood.
Right.
it's like, oh.
so,
It's not a big open space. I think Gypsy Springs is about 2 acres. But, if we keep adding 1/10 of an acre here and there, if we got all three, these two plus Grace is, another maybe almost half an acre. It's something.
no, of course, and I think Cassandra made a good point that for that part of town, any additional open space is a good thing.
Definitely.
Just to increase the inventory over there.
Back to your charter conversation, that would be something that we could, I don't know if it's in the charter now, where is it listed, our target property percentage-wise?
It's on the land acquisition website
But
page.
it's not, I don't know if it's in the town charter or not.
I don't think it is either.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it is.
So that would be the other way to go. We're concerned about survival, but to inject that the town charter actually calls out strategy to get more open space.
The
70 acres.
population must be growing, that we got like 1,000 new housing units in the last year.
Yeah. Mhm.
So-
Yeah, Tim, that's in our charge, or at least the charge of the Land Acquisition Commission from 20 years ago was to acquire 70 acres per every 1,000 residents in town, which put us close to 4,200 acres, I think, when we had 60,000 residents. I don't know how many we have now, but.
Okay.
So anyways, that's neither here nor there. Back to the Beaver Shoot properties. Is there a motion? Do we think it's too premature to make a motion on this? What would be the thought here?
So the title search and all that was already asked for?
No, I think it's part of Tim's basic protocol for any of these properties. I mean, I do think maybe it's a little bit early. I would say, Tim, that we'd probably have our support to move forward with something like this, and then once maybe there was actual contact with the owners and maybe a price, we could make a recommendation that could be something that you could use as a kind of a launching pad.
Okay.
If that makes sense, or
So you get to a price, we often, Brian would do a appraisal.
appraisal, right?
which I'm assuming for an open space is not terribly expensive.
Mhm.
I think it was also in the,
But then don't we also need to publicize it and give people an opportunity to bid on it, or no?
No.
No, that's when we're selling properties, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
I think we'd all be in favor. I think we all like the idea that this is the kind of open space that the town is just, it's a layup. It really is. Just because of where it is, and it's actually almost already part of that existing open space. We would just take full ownership of it.
Yeah.
Probably get it for a song.
No one would ever know it wasn't part of that open space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would say, move forward, Tim, and let us know how we can help and how we can maybe, if need be, we can always meet on a special meeting basis too, if we needed something that you want us to vote on.
Okay,
Okay?
that sounds good.
Good. So that's, I think we're all in favor of something like that. I think it's just, we need to find out more information. And I love the idea that you uncovered those as you were kind of looking around that area. And that moves us right into old business. And 145 Gray Street is something that the commission looked at probably going back 2 or 3 years. Where does it stand right now?
Right now, I did speak with TPZ and just to get, since this is my first one, as far as procedures go, Jim Wenton and I discussed it. I do have a drafted memo, but he suggested that we do the phase 1, and if there was obviously any concerns that were raised, and if there was the need for phase 2, that at that point we probably wouldn't pursue it if it was a normal procedure and not part of the condition of the development next door. But that has happened. GZA was retained, and I just spoke with them today. They expect to issue that report either this week or next. Basic as everyone would think it was, 0.14 acres of wetland and inundated land adjacent to the existing Gypsy Springs on the south side, south of Beaver Street. I've been out there a few times. It's very wet. Nice to see that there were no invasive species. And I've done some aerial research going back to 1934, and it was still undeveloped. So I'm not too worried about the results. So once I have that phase 1 report in hand, I'll generate a memo, and I believe the next step is to issue that and go through the approval channels. There was one other thing. I forget there was another step in there too. But that that will keep moving that forward. I've seen that it was originally dated back to 2005 when the process started, and there was a delay with the development at 135 Grace, and then this came back around, boomeranged around, like you said, a few years ago. So,
right.
135 is fully developed and people living in it. This parcel was condition of that development with the duplex. So here we are.
Cool. So it looks like it's going to move forward, basically.
Yeah. I don't see anything stopping it. It's basically a donated parcel. So after I have this title search, and then take it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it fits right in there with that other town. It's adjacent to all town-owned properties, basically, at the end of that street.
Exactly, and it's similar to the Beaver Street parcels that, it is adjacent. It's very wet. Clearly nice wetland habitat that no one could ever build on anyway. But I think it's more of just solidifying the fact that once it's in town possession, then we have a little more control over it. We're, monitoring and maintenance and stuff like that. So Although the land doesn't care who owns it, still functioning as it will, whether we own it or not. But I think, like I said, just the fact that we have possession of it is a comforting game changer.
Yeah, no doubt. Cool. Any questions on Gray Street for Tim? Okay, that's good. Thank you for picking up the ball on that one and moving that forward. It's been too long, and it'll be nice to get into the town's property role. The other one is 150 Villa Ave, and this is one that I think we voted on last January, perhaps. This one is in play right now. Again, Tim, I'm not sure what you know. I know a couple of things, and without going into closed session, I don't think we can really dive too deep, but I do know that the Rooster River flood mitigation is a topic right now that's being pursued on a couple different levels. I know the town received money that's being earmarked for about $3 million for Rooster River flooding mitigation, which could include property acquisition, and you can kind of connect the dots from there. This is almost a 4-acre piece of property, I think, that could be subdivided with 3 lots. And so in that Villa Avenue area, which is already kind of hyper-condensed with a lot of housing, busy thoroughfare, to maybe acquire this open space would be a great win for the town of Fairfield. There could be a partnership with an organization like Aspetuck Land Trust, and so it could be a win-win-win all around. Kind of my update on that. Any questions or anyone else, anything that they want to add to that?
What's the official town's, Tim, is that on your radar then?
Yeah, I know. I believe I heard about this one from I think you, Mike, first, but also engineering came up with something possible, acquisition for like you said, stormwater detention purposes. I was up in this area yesterday. I was looking at the, I believe it's called Horsebrook Tavern section. I'm trying to think of the parkway. Brooklawn Parkway? Is that?
Yes.
Where there's kind of like Stonewall channeled stream area. I don't remember. I think that's what the name of it. I'm trying to look on Google. But anyway, I'm familiar kind of with the area of that part of town. But other than that, I am not familiar with the parcel, so I'll have to add that to my list of stops with Beaver Street just to see it. But looking at it from the air, it does look like a decent sized parcel in a heavy developed area. Yeah. So it would definitely serve. It looks wet from the air. I don't have our town wetland maps handy from home, but either way, a decent parcel like that would obviously be better served vacant than developed.
I completely agree. And so I think the update on that is that there is some movement on that property, certainly with the town of Fairfield acquiring those relief funds, that it's in play for sure. So any questions on Villa Ave or Grace or for Tim Bishop?
What's the relationship with Aspetuck on this? Because I feel like I've heard them talk about this land, this property.
I know it's on David's radar for sure, and it's on the neighbor's radar in that area. And I think no one wants to see it developed. So, but not as much as I know right now.
Public-private partnership.
Public-private
That's
partnership.
like the new thing, right? That's how we're going to get stuff done.
Right. Tim Bishop, thank you for an hour of your time on a Wednesday night.
Absolutely, thank you. And I look forward to meeting everyone when they can. If you're in town hall or nearby, feel free to stop. I'm usually at my desk if I'm not running around town, but always feel free to call, stop by, email, and I look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
With that, does anyone have any last-minute agenda item additions? Motion to adjourn? Cassandra, motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. It is officially 7:01. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you for your years of chairmanship,
All right.
and happy birthday.
Whoa.